next? It's everyone's favorite video game discussion show. An all-new GameView starts right now.
Hey guys, welcome once again to GameView. Now, today we have to go over a couple of interesting things that we learned this past week regarding some of Nintendo's first-party Switch games, and the news is not all that good, unfortunately. Right now, as I speak, Animal Crossing fans are in complete outrage mode. The outrage is warranted, and it's because of Nintendo continuing this recent trend of making incredibly stupid decisions with some of their first-party games and literally shooting themselves in the foot, and this is another one of those stupid decisions, so we need to go over that. We also need to talk a little bit about Super Mario Maker 2, because it was revealed this week that there was an odd decision made regarding the game's controls. And while I don't think it's a deal breaker in terms of purchasing the game, I do question why this decision was made and if Nintendo is just completely out of touch with how the game is designed to be played, or if they just wanted to give fans both options for, you know, using different types of controls depending on which one you prefer. It's a really odd situation here, so we're going to go over that. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about Kensuke Tanabe and Aonuma. Tanabe in particular, I will keep bringing this up and reminding you guys over and over again, but he is the main guy responsible for wrecking the Paper Mario franchise, yet it's really surprising how he's the producer of Luigi's Mansion 3 and also the producer of Metroid Prime 4. So I don't quite understand how you can seemingly do everything right to please one franchise's fan base and do everything wrong to basically tick off another. But maybe he's learned from the Paper Mario situation. Anyways, I do want to talk a little bit about that. And also, in recent interviews with Aonuma, it does seem like Breath of the Wild's sequel has been in development for a longer amount of time than we thought, so we do need to talk briefly about that, because it did catch me off guard a little bit, and I think it'll catch a lot of you guys off guard as well. Before we get started, though, as always, if you guys enjoyed tonight's episode of GameView, make sure to give us a like, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we upload new episodes here at TOONDISE, and also don't forget we are on Twitter at TOONDISE, on Discord, and you can also catch us on our website, toondise.com. So tonight we are going to start off with Animal Crossing, because again, incredibly stupid decision. We've seen this trend recently, first with Super Mario Maker and the lack of friend matchmaking. It seems like the Super Mario Maker fanbase has calmed down a little bit because of Nintendo taking a step back, acknowledging the problem, seemingly looking to get it fixed. I don't know if it will be fixed by the time the game's out next week. Probably not. It'll probably take a couple of months before they roll out a patch. So at least they solved that crisis. And then, of course, we had the issue with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the fact that you can't transfer all of your Pokemon over from Pokemon Home, and that outraged the Pokemon community. So Nintendo was 2 for 2, and now it looks like they're 3 for 3, because now we just learned in a recent interview with French outlet Game Cult. Apparently, the director of Animal Crossing New Horizons, Aya Kyogoku, and producer Higashi Nogami revealed that there will not be any cloud saves for Animal Crossing. And this has angered Animal Crossing fans worldwide, and I frankly am not surprised. So, when they did this interview, apparently, Nogami revealed, and this is how he put it, he said, New Horizons will not be compatible with cloud backups to avoid manipulating time, which remains one of the founding concepts of the series. Now, I'm not a huge Animal Crossing fan. I've never played an Animal Crossing game, but it does seem like in past Animal Crossing entries, there were some elements that were time-based, and some people, getting around these elements by just resetting their game. And then, of course, the in-game character, Mr. Rossetti, gives this whole blurb and speech about how you shouldn't just reset your game over and over again just to manipulate the events in the game and all of that. So I get that. I understand where he's coming from with respect to just playing the game and not trying to essentially cheat or soft reset in that sense to get items that you want and just manipulate the game to your liking. But at the same time, I mean, come on, really? This game isn't going to be out until 2020. It's been delayed, just like a lot of other first-party games have been delayed, right? And here we go, once again, where Nintendo is angering most of their franchise's fans just in an attempt to, I guess, hinder the 5% that would go ahead and cheat or try and take advantage of the situation. Again, I said this before, 95% of people are not going to cheat. They are going to play games legitimately. They are going to, be responsible when it comes to the hardware of the Switch, not hacking into it, not doing things that try to disrupt others, whether it's, just wrecking other people's gameplay experiences or just trying to outrage the rest of the fan base. But here we go once again, where you've got Nintendo Switch Online, a service which constantly plugs the benefits of subscribing to a yearly online subscription service, one of those benefits being cloud-based saves. And yet, here we go again, another first-party game that does not support it. It started with Splatoon 2, then it was Pokemon Let's Go, now it's Animal Crossing New Horizons. Not to burst your bubble, but I can almost guarantee you that Pokemon Sword and Shield will not support cloud saves either. And again, it's an incredibly stupid decision, because you're punishing most of the fans, again, the 95% of the fans who want that feature, just as a precaution, right? We cannot back up our save files locally, and we need some way to protect our game data. Animal Crossing fans, they are really serious about Animal Crossing. I mean, we're talking about a game similar to, I want to say, SimCity or Breath of the Wild, where you can easily put in hundreds upon hundreds of gameplay hours, and what happens if your Switch breaks? I mean, you accidentally drop your Switch, it doesn't turn on anymore, right? what happens then? You lose your Switch, right? I mean, you leave it, someone steals it, it's not your fault, but your Switch is gone, and so is your save file, because, once again, Nintendo's decision to not incorporate the save files into the actual cartridges for the Switch. This is a big problem. With previous systems, like the DS, like the 3DS, the save files were on the game card, so if you lost your 3DS system, no problem. You just buy another one, you insert your same game card, and you're good to go. With the Switch, that is not the case. It is only saved to the internal memory of the Switch, and with no online backup, it really does make you wonder, are people going to put hundreds of hours of gameplay time into Animal Crossing and then potentially run into that situation where at some point down the line, their Switch no longer works, and they've lost all the time and effort that they put into their games. So, again, it's an incredibly stupid decision. The idea behind it, where they don't want people cheating, again, I understand it, but you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Look at Splatoon 2, right? They use the same excuse for that. People are still cheating in Splatoon 2, and Nintendo isn't doing anything about it. So, even though Splatoon 2 isn't compatible with cloud saves, cheating is still rampant in the game. Now we have Animal Crossing, same situation yet again. But to be fair, I think Animal Crossing New Horizons is being developed by the same team that developed Splatoon 2. So you can sort of see the similarities here. But yeah, in any case, not a great decision. I think Nintendo really does need to revise this, because on the one hand, you cannot be promoting cloud-based saving as a benefit to your first-party games, while on the other hand, just flat out not including the feature in certain first-party games. And this is going to be the same problem with Pokemon, because I guarantee you right now that you're going to need to transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Home into Sword and Shield in order to use them in online battles. What I'm probably going to have to do myself, and I don't know if a lot of you guys are going to do this too, but let me know what you think on it. I am going to be very, very careful when it comes to that situation too, as in, if there's a tournament or I want to use my Pokemon in online battles, what I'll probably end up doing myself, I will transfer my Pokemon from home into Sword and Shield. I will use them for that tournament, for those battles, and then immediately after, I will transfer them back to Pokemon Home, because I don't want to leave them in Sword and Shield, because, again, there's no cloud-based backup feature, and if my Sword and Shield file gets deleted while my Pokemon are in the game, then I've lost those Pokemon permanently, whereas if they're in Pokemon Home, that essentially acts as the cloud-based service for that as well. So again, not an ideal situation. Again, just an incredibly stupid decision by Nintendo. That's 3 first-party games already that do not support cloud-based saving, and, or I guess 3 first-party franchises. I don't know if Splatoon 3 will support it, or the next Animal Crossing game beyond New Horizons, maybe, 5-6 years from now. But at least right now, 3 franchises, 3 first-party franchises that are not taking advantage of cloud-based saves, and it is disappointing, it is frustrating, it is stupid on Nintendo's part, and I don't know how Sony or Microsoft deal with their cloud-based gaming, because I've never really owned a PlayStation or an Xbox, so yeah, I know, direct your hate at me, I'm purely a Nintendo fan here. So I don't know what the situation is with those companies, if all of their games support cloud backup, or if it's a similar situation, but Nintendo definitely needs to get on the ball here, because they continue to miss the mark over and over again with online functionality, and it just doesn't bode well. It really doesn't. Okay, so moving on, now we have to talk about Super Mario Maker 2, because if you can remember, a couple of weeks ago, the Super Mario Maker fanbase was also in complete outrage mode because of the lack of online friend matchmaking capabilities within that game. Another incredibly stupid decision. You create a game that's designed around building levels, designing them, sharing them, and playing them with your friends, and then you choose not to include an option to do that. Just another stupid decision by Nintendo. At least it does seem like they're on the right track, listening to the outrage, stepping back a bit, realizing that it was a mistake, and deciding to go ahead and fix that. I don't know if that'll be fixed by next Friday when the game comes out, but I would assume at least within the first couple of months, they should have some kind of patch rolled out. So good on them for acknowledging that problem, and acknowledging the frustration and listening to the fans. But now we've got another odd situation going on here. It seems like with Super Mario Maker 2, when the Switch is in docked mode and you're playing the game on your TV, you can use button controls. So, if you're using the Pro Controller, for instance, you can play the game with that. Not an issue. Same thing if you're playing in tabletop mode, but we just learned this past week that if you're playing the game in handheld mode, you cannot use button controls. You can only use the touchscreen. Now, you can argue that using a stylus and the touchscreen is the best option for this game, because obviously it's a lot easier using a stylus to design levels than just moving a cursor on the screen with, let's say, the left control stick and then hitting the A button to place objects and all that. It was probably one of the best uses out of the Wii U gamepad, but it's definitely odd that they would not include button controls in handheld mode. I don't get it. I mean, you have button controls in tabletop, you have button controls in TV mode, but in handheld mode only, you have to use the touchscreen. If you don't use the touchscreen, you cannot play the game. I mean, ABXY will not work with the Joy-Cons attached in handheld mode. And I'm assuming it probably won't work with the Pro Controller either, if the Switch isn't specifically docked. So again, very, very strange decision. You guys will have to let me know if this is going to be a deal breaker. Like I said, personally, myself, I've thought it over. I'm going to pass on Super Mario Maker 2. Originally, I just wasn't a big fan of them not including the friend matchmaking ability. Now, at least, it looks like that will be the case, but I'm looking at the game more and more, and I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to spend hours on end designing levels? And especially with the other first-party games coming up soon, I just don't think I will be spending a lot of time in this game if I did get it. So I'm giving it a hard pass for now. Maybe down the road, if the price drops, I'll check into it. But at the moment, just gonna move on with some other stuff. And last but not least, let's talk a little bit about Tanabe and Aonuma. So, first off, I want to talk about Tanabe. So, like I mentioned before, he is producing Luigi's Mansion 3 and Metroid Prime 4. I hope to God he stays away from the Paper Mario series. It goes to show you how some people again, make the worst decisions at times, but can also make some of the best decisions at the same time, which is incredibly odd, but I look at Luigi's Mansion 3, right, and I think to myself, this game looks gorgeous. It's a fantastic game. I like the gameplay, just like I was talking with Roxy last week. The graphics look great. It looks really fun, sucking up ghosts and then slamming them on the ground. The co-op feature looks amazing. So I don't know if there's a downside to this, because I don't want to be the eternal pessimist here, but with recent Nintendo decisions being incredibly dumb and outright frustrating, who knows? I mean, we could get to the first week of October and find out Nintendo did something incredibly stupid with Luigi's Mansion 3 as well. I wouldn't put anything past them. But right now, this game looks like it's incredibly faithful to the Luigi's Mansion franchise. I am very excited to get my hands on this, and I am surprised that Tanabe is the producer behind this game. It gives me hope towards Metroid Prime 4. It also gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, Tanabe actually looked at the feedback from Paper Mario Color Splash, and he thought to himself, you know what? Next time, I'm actually going to listen to the fans and not tick them off. Because, again, it's incredibly odd how you've got this one person who wrecked Paper Mario, who, again, I really hope stays far away from the Paper Mario franchise. I hope he has nothing to do with the next Paper Mario on the Switch. But on the other hand, he's responsible for Luigi's Mansion 3, and that looks like a great game. I mean, Luigi's Mansion... Luigi's Mansion fans, they do not look angry or upset with what was revealed for Luigi's Mansion 3 in terms of the gameplay. So at least he's doing that game correctly, and again, it does look like Metroid Prime 4 will remain faithful to the Metroid Prime series as well. Maybe he's changed his tone. Maybe someone higher up at Nintendo gave him a stern talking to after the disaster that was Paper Mario Color Splash, and told him, hey, you have to listen to your fan base, you have to do your research on whatever game franchise you're producing to make sure that you don't mess it up. But I will give credit where credit is due, and who knows, we'll see if he's learned his lesson from 3 years ago. And also, on that note, I just want to end off tonight's episode talking quickly about Eiji Aonuma, producer of Breath of the Wild, as you know. Very interesting news that we learned this week, because apparently at one point, Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild that's being developed, apparently Aonuma considered just releasing it as DLC to the first game, but they had so many ideas, I guess, for the story and for concepts that they wanted to incorporate, that instead of just releasing, continuous DLC packs over the years, they decided to just release a sequel flat out for the Switch instead. Very good decision, but here's the really surprising part on this. It seems like the sequel has been in development for longer than you would think. Now, we don't know the exact timeline when they just flat out started working on the Breath of the Wild sequel, but it does seem like it's been in development for at least maybe the better part of a year and a half, 2 years. So that has actually led some people to speculate that maybe this sequel will be out at the end of 2020, and it'll be the big Christmas 2020 release. I still do not think that's going to be the case. I just don't. The fact that they did not reveal a release date during the E3 Direct leads me to believe that we're looking at fall 2021 at the earliest, and again, I think it's going to be 2022. I mean, honestly, this does look like a game that will come out near the end of the Switch's lifespan. It'll be the same idea as Metroid Prime 4, probably when the Switch is in its 5th year or 6th year maybe. That's when we get it. And it does make sense too from the point of view that if you did release DLC for the original game, you would have to make it compatible with the Wii U version. They probably didn't want to do that, right? They just wanted to work on a flat-out sequel, just focus specifically on creating it for the Switch's hardware, and that way it'll be a Switch exclusive. So that makes sense, but it is interesting nonetheless that it does seem like this is something they were working on for quite a while. It's not something that they just started at the beginning of 2019. It's been in development for at least the better part of a year and a half, and if that's the case, maybe, we can get this game out sooner, and, that way we won't run into a situation like we did with the original Breath of the Wild, where it was released on the Wii U and the Switch, just because of how long development took. Anyways, that pretty much covers it for tonight, so let me know what you guys think about everything that we talked about tonight, whether it's the outrage on Animal Crossing. Do you think it's warranted? I definitely think it is. Again, just the whole concept of cloud saving. Nintendo has to understand that if people really, really want to cheat and hack their way through the Switch games, no matter how many precautions you're going to take, they're going to do it nonetheless, and Nintendo just needs to ban them outright. It's that simple. I don't think you need to punish 95% of a franchise's fans for the 5% that are going to ruin it for the rest of us. So let me know your thoughts on that. Also, what do you guys think about Super Mario Maker 2, the control setup, the fact you can only use touch controls when it's in handheld mode, and also about Kensuke Tanabe and Aonuma. Do you think it's surprising that a guy who completely missed the mark and angered Paper Mario fans the world over somehow seems to understand what he did wrong, and at least with Luigi's Mansion, it looks like he's making up for his past mistakes and listening to the Luigi's Mansion fanbase? And also, Aonuma, do you think we're really going to get Breath of the Wild at the end of 2020? I don't. But hey, maybe I'm completely wrong. As always, if you guys liked tonight's episode, don't forget to hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Don't forget to subscribe to us on TOONDISE, hit that bell icon for notifications on new episodes, and visit us on toondice.com, on Twitter at TOONDISE, and on Discord. I will be back next Friday night, 9/8 Central, with more news, and we actually have some interesting episodes coming up for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Scott, and I will see you guys later.